whole lot more. The NFL season begins on Thursday night. Let's go more or less ahead of Cowboys-Eagles. Hey, J-Mac, my number is 94. These numbers are all from ESPN Bet, of course. 94.5 rushing yards for Saquon. You go more or less?
I'm going less on this. When the Cowboys owner comes out and says we traded Micah because it's all about stopping the run, Matt Eberflus, the new defensive coordinator, you better go out there and do one thing. Stop the daggone run. If they throw the ball all over the place, blame Jerry. Do not let Saquon Barkley go off in this game. I'm going less.
It's a good point, and that brings us then to the quarterback, Graziano. The total, again, these from ESPN Bet Sportsbook, 252.5 combined passing and rushing for Jalen Hurts. What do you think?
I'm going to go less. I think the Eagles' offense, is great and will be, but could take a little while to get going this season. They have some issues on the offensive line with the Landon Dickerson injury. The receivers, the top two receivers, missed a lot of time in training camp. You have a first-time play caller taking over as offensive coordinator. The Eagles will be fine, but they might not be at their absolute peak right out of the gate.
We'll talk about that with Sal Palantonio, who'll join us live from Philly in a little while. In the meantime, D. Wood on the other side, 1.5 touchdown passes for Dak. Where you go?
I'm going more. Listen, a couple things here. I think the Dallas is going to need to score a lot of points in order to stay in this game and ultimately try to win this game. And we also know that the Philadelphia Eagles are breaking in a new corner, obviously Quinyon Mitchell, and so that person is going to be seeing a lot of attention, whether it be from George Pickens or C.D. Lamb.
Well, the top two weapons, as you mentioned, are George Pickens and C.D. Lamb. Yesterday, they were talking about the state of the Cowboys' offense entering Week 1.
I feel like we can get off on the ground running. We had a lot of reps off season, going to Georgia, throwing routes. We throw routes a lot, so I feel like we can come off hot.
I feel like teams are, or even us, the media, underestimating what you guys could be.
Absolutely, but it's fine though.
That angers you guys or motivates you? What is that? The emotion?
Absolutely, but it's fine though.
So, can you interpret that for me? I couldn't decide exactly. Is he being, what was he actually saying?
He's saying, y'all keep on doing what y'all doing. We're going to do our thing, but y'all underestimate us, and we hear you. But watch us do our work.
So yes, that brings us to, I sort of want to position it this way. We now continue the Cowboys season, which had been interrupted by this ridiculous self-inflicted drama that they just put themselves through, or the owner of the team put them through over the last 4 weeks or so. If we were to go back before that, back in a time before this Micah thing completely consumed all of the oxygen in and around the Cowboys, there were some people, and I was one of them, saying, this team's going to be sneaky good. Mm-hmm. This offense could be really good. Mm-hmm. When Dak Prescott is healthy, they win. That's not an opinion. No. It's a statement of fact. And they may have, if George Pickens is as good as some hope he can be, and he certainly has the motivation being in a contract year, they could have a pretty good, one of the best 1-2 punches at wide receiver. I think the Cowboys are going to be sneaky good.
I think they're going to score a lot of points. And the defense, is going to have to come together without its best player. But, Matt Eberflus is pretty good at coaching defense. They didn't have him all through camp. So, I think, the Cowboys, to your point, when Dak Prescott has played a fully healthy season, they've generally been a playoff team. And 2 years ago, he was the runner-up for the MVP award, and that was before they had George Pickens. So, I think there's reason to be optimistic about the offense at the very least.
So let's try and decide how many points we think they're going to need to score to win this game on Thursday night against Philadelphia. And before you start envisioning the answer to that question in your mind, let me quickly remind you of the two meetings between these teams last year. Now, Dak Prescott didn't play in either of those games. He was injured. But Dak Prescott doesn't play defense. So he wasn't responsible for 34-6. He wasn't responsible for 41-7. By the way, that 41 came without Jalen Hurts. Yeah. Kenny Pickett was the quarterback in that game. So, J-Mac, now that we've seen that, the Eagles scored 75 points in their two matchups with a defense that had Micah Parsons last year. How many points do the Cowboys need to score to win on Thursday night?
You're going to take me through that whole graphic and then ask me the question? I'm going to say 55 points in order to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Right. The one thing I will say as a defender looking at those scores is just nauseating. But at the same time, from a game plan standpoint, when you don't have Dak Prescott and you're out there on defense, we got to gamble. We got to find some way to impact this game. So I don't think it's going to be the 50 points that they're going to need to score. I'll say 30 points gets them a victory.
We were looking looking at the games this morning, you were telling me there was like a ton of fumbles, right? Weren't there? There was some freaky stats.
The Cowboys fumbled 6 times in the 2 games against the Eagles last year, and the Eagles recovered all 6. So that doesn't make the difference in those scores, but you could make the case with their quarterback back healthy that the gap shouldn't be that large. The second game, the Kenny Pickett game, Saquon Barkley had 31 carries. The Cowboys couldn't do anything about it. 167 rushing yards. They couldn't do anything to stop him. Presumably, they have focused their efforts this offseason on getting better against the run, and we'll see. We'll find out.
So then to circle it back to the Cowboys offense,
yeah.
You made this point. D-Wood touched on it for a moment, but could you expand on that? The one area where the Cowboys may have a really big advantage they can exploit.
Well, Darius Slay is gone. He was one of the cornerbacks in Philly for the last few years. The cornerback that starts opposite Quinyon Mitchell, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, this is why you went and got George Pickens. No matter where they align that guy, you have CeeDee Lamb and you have George Pickens. Take your opportunities on the outside. Whenever Vic Fangio, the Eagles defensive coordinator, gives it an opportunity to be one-on-one, whether it's Keely Ringo, whether it's Adoree Jackson, you have to take those opportunities and throw the ball down the field.
Hembo, put the prop up there. What is the prop on George Pickens' receiving yards in this game? I'd be interested in that because J-Mac said that in our meeting this morning. He said it again now. I'm kind of thinking that could be a little tasty over. Do you see that as a big advantage for the Cowboys?
Absolutely. Listen, Quinyon Mitchell, going into the second year, he's already one of the best cornerbacks we have in the National Football League. So, yeah, the cornerback opposite him is going to get a lot of work. And if I'm Dallas, that's where I'm going right off the rip.
And they've had Adoree Jackson. They were hoping Keely Ringo. They made a trade in the middle of camp for a cornerback, which is a sign that they weren't happy with what they had at the position. So they are still piecing that part of it together.
So the over-under you see there, good work, Hembo, from Pickens, is 56.5 receiving yards. I tell you, I like that, and I like the Cowboys with the points in this game. The line went from 6.5 to 7.5. That's a lot. I know that they gave up 75 points in these matchups last year. The script seems too one-sided.
It's week 1. Usually defense is ahead of offense. Yeah. There's a lot of things that goes on in week 1. So, I don't see this 40 burger or anything. I think it'll be a lot closer week 1.
We'll find out. The season starts with a bang, 3-1.
Got a first glimpse of Micah Parsons at Packers practice yesterday. Sources telling our Adam Schefter that Parsons may need an injection for a sprain in his back prior to his Green Bay debut Sunday against the Lions. All right, there are just 2 skinny little days until this season kicks off. It's time for our first Overreaction Tuesday of the season. Dan Graziano is here. We're going to get some gravitas with him. Why don't we start with Green Bay?
Sure.
Okay, the Packers will win the NFC, Dan. Is that an overreaction or not an overreaction?
Not an overreaction. I think they are firmly in the mix to potentially win the NFC. I thought that a week ago, and then they make the trade for Micah Parsons, which I think is their way of trying to leave no doubt that they are a top contender. The only teams Green Bay lost to last year, other than the throwaway game at the end of the year against the Bears, were the Lions, Vikings, and Eagles. That's it. Those were the top 3 teams in the NFC. Mm-hmm. They feel like they are right there with those teams and just need to, figure out how to beat them in order to get where they want to go. But yeah, Detroit's undergoing some change. Minnesota undergoing some change. Mm-hmm. Green Bay looks primed to make a run.